Hi, Sparkles. Welcome back to Intuitive Wisdom. This is episode 202, and today Christina and I are diving into our October Insights conversation. As we transition into fall, it is a perfect time to pause and reflect. What did September bring us, and how do we want to carry those lessons forward? We talk about recalibrating and your own inner lighthouse. Shining your light, yes, but also keeping your doors open to new possibilities while staying rooted in your values. This episode touches on themes of time and power, inspired by the books 4,000 Weeks and A Different Kind of Power. How do we pare down our lists to what truly matters? Not just what's interesting, but what aligns with the life we actually want to live. We'll also explore the rhythms of checking in with ourselves, whether daily, monthly, quarterly, or annually, because accountability and alignment come from those steady touch points. Core values often stay the same, but how we experience them shifts as life changes around us. We'll share experiments and practices that help us stay centered, and Christina will close us out with her signature card pull, always the perfect grounding for a new month. So settle in with us for a thoughtful, heart-centered conversation on showing up, simplifying with intention, and remembering that you've got this, because this isn't your first go-around. Here we go. Welcome to Intuitive Wisdom, a space where insight meets energy and intuition leads the way. I'm K. Margaret Solorio, author, Angel Reiki Master, biotech graduate, and a guide for those seeking alignment in their home and life. Whether you're navigating change, clearing emotional clutter, or simply craving clarity, Intuitive Wisdom invites you to slow down, tune in, and rise into your authentic self. New episodes weekly. Come home to your own knowing. Okay, Sparkles, before we get to today's episode, I have a few quick announcements to share with you. First, a shout out to Lori. She wrote, "I found your podcast through Deanna's podcast, and I'm really enjoying it. I have been working on developing my intuitive for a few years now. I cleared out my front porch and doorway. It's made a huge difference in my space. I plan on purchasing your book this week. Thanks for all you do." Well, thank you, Lori. I appreciate hearing from you. And next, have you taken my free quiz? If you go to deliciousease.com/quiz, it's called Is Your Home Supporting Your Expansion? It only takes a few minutes and you get some clear insight into how your space may be shaping your energy and where you can start to shift things. And if your space feels heavy, stuck, or just a little off, my Home Frequency Reset is a remote, intuitive, energetic refresh designed to bring your home back into harmony with you. You can also find more information and book your time through my website. And last but not least, my book, Make Ease Your Vibe. It's now available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle versions. It's packed with practical strategies for shifting your energy, managing your time, and changing your mindset. Plus, you'll get access to exclusive chapter bonuses. Once you purchase, you can enter your information on my website, deliciousease.com, and get access to those instantly. I've made extra content that goes along with each chapter and a chapter outline. All right, that's it for now. Let's get to October Insights with Christina. Welcome again, Christina. Thank you so much for joining me. We are doing our monthly check-in. How is September? How was September?
Yeah, thank you. September has been really good. I think when we look back and at what we were talking about last month and moving in, we are recording this a little bit early, so we just hit fall, like the autumn equinox. And that transition for me has been really nice. I've been kind of like moving into establishing some new routines and kind of getting some different timelines in, finishing up a lot of projects and stuff that we had around the house that I'm just kind of doing. So my word, when I was
Good
looking
for
back, it was
you.
recalibrate. And I feel like I'm moving into that space and like continuing to move into that space of getting my, rhythms and stuff into this new season and really bringing some of that in, which I think it's been really good. I've really been enjoying it. It's been a little bit slow, but at the same time, like looking at this week and last week, we do have a lot of things going on.
Yes.
But I think that having that kind of transition period has been really good. How about for you?
There's a lot there, and I think I'm still figuring it out myself. What really struck me from our conversation last month was this idea that you actually said right at the end about being the lighthouse
Mm-hmm.
that I keep coming back to and I love. And I'm still trying to understand how that manifests everywhere. But this week for me, our life also has changed of like just different activities and like you said, a little bit then different schedule. And it feels a lot more full. So last time we were really talking about that expansiveness of summer. And I loved it because it felt like there was just more empty space in the day. And now that empty space is being filled. So the day still feels bigger than it used to, which I appreciate, but that's different. And so for usually, my default is logistics and getting everything done and pretending like I'm in control and figuring it all out. And that's not good enough, or that's not what's needed right now, or that just stresses me out and I'm no longer there for stress as much as I used to be. So I've been thinking about the lighthouse and thinking, well, okay, then what is for me, that must mean how I show up. Like what's important? Because I'm not getting it all done. And that's driving me nuts on some level. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, what needs to get done is getting done. And then how can I be the person I want to be and show up in the way I want to show up and still get the stuff done that needs to get done? I feel like I'm saying that in too many words and it needs to be said, and there's a fly flying around me. So if that makes sense, it's going well. A lot of things are happening. I feel like I'm along for the ride. I'm still super excited. There's still 15 things I want to do on the list that I didn't get to every day.
Yeah. Um, so I think that's funny that I mean, not funny, but just absolutely correct that that's coming up for you right now. But I look at so we just hit the equinox, which is like this point in nature, which is balance, right? It's like
Oh, I
we're the
didn't think about it that
equivalent
way.
of the night and the day, and they're moving towards that balance point. And it only lasts for that one, like one day, and then we gradually start to move into that darker time. And so this time of year for me usually does bring up a lot of those things. Like I'm trying to balance a lot of different things. I'm trying to pull in all of these, all these different areas and recalibrate my rhythms and do all these things. I had recently read over the past couple weeks. It's called 4,000 Weeks, and I can't remember who the author is. I'll try to stick it in the show notes, but it was basically talking about how for most of us, if we think about an average lifespan of about 80, we have 4,000 weeks that we are here. And using that time and realizing that the whole point of it is that we are not going to be able to do everything. And even though from like a historical and evolutionary perspective, we have more leisure time, we have more free time than we ever have, and yet we are feeling so much more pressure to do everything and to get everything. And how our ancestors, it wasn't that they were trying to rush the harvest so they could get it all done in one day so that then they could do it. It was just the work that needed to be done was done at the schedule that it needed to be done. And that looking at it and trying to say, instead of, because I can literally do everything, and that's kind of the thing, like I could literally do anything with my time here. And that I think is where a lot of us tend to think that we should be doing it all, or that like there's just so many projects and so many things that I want to do and I want to try and I want everything. Even like just from a traveling perspective, the more that you travel, the more that you realize there's so much more to see. And the fact is that you're never going to see it all, you're never going to do it all, but taking the time and really focusing on the things that you actually want to do. And one of the examples that they had used in there, and it was really interesting to me as somebody who's, very much you can do it all. You can, you can do all the things, just maybe not at the same time, but it was they talked about making a list, and I don't remember who the historical figure was that had talked about it, but it was making a list of all the things that you might want to do, like all of the big things that you might want to do with your life, and looking at it, and then choosing the top like three or four of them, and then taking the rest of the list. And what they said was that it's tempting to take the rest of the list and like be like, okay, and then if I get this stuff done, then I'll work on this.
Mm-hmm.
But what they said was actually take that list and throw it away because those are the things that you can spend a lot of time on that will distract you from the things that you actually really want to do because they're interesting enough
Oh,
to warrant that time, to warrant that interest and that attention, but enough that they aren't going to be the thing that's really going to feel fulfilling to you. And I started thinking about it, and I
wow.
haven't processed it all fully yet, but I'm starting to think about like what are all of those things in my life that are interesting enough that they're warranting some of my attention, but they're not actually impacting me and how I want to feel and creating that life that I want, that are distracting me from the actions that I could be taking where I could really be making some more movement and momentum.
That makes a lot of sense in context of like how I think about my business. So when I talk about home energy, I'm just making an analogy. I'll get back to the business. But when I talk about home energy, it's a lot easier, I think, for people to think about the home as if you were a guest coming in, like how you would prepare for a guest and set the mood and set the vibe. And then the energy piece kind of makes sense, except for you're doing that for yourself. So I think that might work for me in this instance, because when you're talking, I was like, that's how I feel a lot of the times about the activities I do in my business. I really want stuff that's gonna drive everything forward. And I think I have to do all these things. And there's some things that look really attractive to do that maybe are not as much helpful. And that's the thing. The list is really long, but it would be great if it were just three things. But how can I do that in life? And then take that and extrapolate it to life in general. I think last time we also talked about almost using joy as a strategy. If you go ahead and get into that high vibe, time gets squishy and you get more done anyway.
Yeah, and I think about and I take all of these things that I learn and that I acquire and I take it and kind of do like experiments and tests on myself, like trying to
You're the
figure out like
best.
what resonates, what doesn't. And so hearing that, it's interesting to me. I don't know that I fully 100% agree with it because
Good.
I do think that there are a lot of interesting things, and I don't know that me choosing and focusing and being like, oh, I have to pick three or four things, like that feels constrictive to me. And that also feels like pressure of I
Activates your
have to
rebel.
figure it out, right? I have to figure out these three or four things because that's what all my energy is going to.
Oh,
But using it in a way that helps me to think about in terms of the activities that I am doing and saying like, okay, is this exciting, interesting, and driving the feelings that I want to right now and allowing that to change if it changes eventually, because that will continue to get me in movement and not in
mhm.
that stagnant, stuck place where I'm just like decision paralysis or overanalyzing
So
all the
more about
possibilities.
vantage point perspective because it brings you
Yeah.
back to what actually
But
matters.
just as like a check-in of like,
Mm.
okay, is this still good? Am I putting myself in too many places right now? Am I trying to do too many things that actually are not making me feel the way that I want to feel?
Yeah, you reminded me. I'm reading a book right now, Jacinda Ardern's autobiography, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, came out recently, and it's fascinating. Um, and it kind of does what we're talking about because normally you pride yourself or it's like the basic conversation when you meet somebody, you tell them what you do for work. You don't actually tell them what you do for fun. But
Mhm.
when she describes the situation, it's almost like you're in a movie looking through her eyes. And she's like, okay, this is how I was feeling. This is what was happening. And then she tells you all the political stuff that you saw on the news.
Well,
So it's an interesting perspective because it brings it back home,
mhm.
like, oh, this is significant for me to a lot of her decisions, it feels like were about showing up. Like obviously the policies are very important and she knows her stuff and she argues and she shows up, but a lot of it was more about showing up and the type of leader that she wasn't. She was only the second female president. I mean, she was prime minister to ever have a kid during office. So it was like all of these things she could walk through with grace because she was coming from a place of leading is not just what I get done, it's how I do it. And I feel like a lot of what you're saying is also, hey, leading in my life, what I am doing has greater impact then maybe I understand. At least that's how I perceive what you're saying. Like, hey, if I'm out doing something and I'm showing up, that speaks to a character point and the kind of person I want to be. That's actually going to have ripple effects that are going to tick some of the boxes that I'm worried about on the doing end.
Yeah.
There's bigger impact than it feels like. Like you go in for one thing and you get 10.
Yeah. Okay, Margaret, I think that is so it's so interesting to think about because I do think, and one of the things that they touched on in that book as well was just like that, like being in the moment, right? So we hear it all the time, the
Oh my
mindfulness,
God,
the
all the
being
time.
present, that, like doing it. Oh, I'm
And
doing
I
the
love to
dishes, but I need
meditate.
to be
It
doing
still gets
them
annoying.
like, yeah, like I need to be doing them thoughtfully. But what I did think was interesting about that too was that becoming piece is that so often we are future focused. So I'm doing these things
Yes.
for future me. I'm doing these things for future, for the future, for the future. We're never getting to that future point because at that point we're still looking future.
Mm,
So when we get to that point, we're still looking at what we're doing for that. And again, I don't think that this is necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's something to consider when we do start to get that anxiety coming, that those things, and
mm,
it's always the things that need to be done, where like you're saying, part of it is that being, that becoming is the actual thing that you're going for, and that the
mhm.
things that you're doing are just kind of effortlessly part of it. And what they talked about with that like being present was that in itself, and the anxiety that comes from like, am I being present right now? Oh my gosh, am I totally here? That's taking you out of the moment too. So like
Yes.
being in it, and just like you're saying, like being, what am I doing right now? What is it doing for me right now? And that's where I think that I have that little bit of like, oh, I don't know about that three or four things for like our span of our lifetime. Is that I want to be where I am right now. And I think that this version of me might not be the same as it will be in 10 years. And so
Oh,
giving
yes.
that space, right? And saying like the things that are important to me right now might not be the same things that are important to me later. But the feelings that I want to have are probably going to be fairly consistent. Like
Mm,
those core value things of what makes me feel alive, what energizes and excites me, the things that I'm passionate about, the actual items might change, but the way that I feel about them will probably stay consistent. And the way that I want to be able to do that, and then just like using those as those compass points of like, where am I off? And how to get back into, the alignment, the buzziness, but like actually using these little check-ins.
I love that. Also, you reminded me of something, an awareness I came to, or spirit showed me, however you want to say that this week, that a lot of the doing, how do I say this? Well, how I show up for my day and the things like the regular daily tasks that I need to do, I realized I was showing up and acting like I'd never done it before. Like a lot of my anxiety in the morning comes from like, oh my God, I got to get everybody ready. I have to logistically get all these, who knows? I want everybody to have a good day. I want everybody to have the stuff in their bag that they need, not forget anything. So of course, I'm the one who has to figure out what not to forget for everybody. And then I feel like, oh, how can I do that? I'm not good enough. And this whole down the rabbit hole I go. And I stood there at one point and I was getting frustrated with myself because I don't like to push my kids. It doesn't feel good for anybody. And I'm like, well, how can I do this differently? And then I realized I'm showing up like I've never done this before. I've literally done it a million times.
Wow.
Like I'm 40. Getting up is not new. So how can I like approach my day like I've done this before? I get it. Like I'm gonna pull it off. Can we let go of that anxiety? And then, like you said, then by default, I'll be in the moment and I can figure out what's not there that I can help get done and get everybody out the door. But it was just for me such a little but such a profound aha moment that I was still approaching my day like it was unattainable and new and too many variables when in actuality, no, thank you. I'm a seasoned professional at this part. Can we just go ahead and show up and do you?
So how do you, I love that. How did you take that, like this realization that I have, and then like practically speaking, like what does it look like for you now when you're like, okay, no, I'm not going to show up like I've never done this before. I do this. I've done this. Like I have a whole track record of doing this. like, how does that show up for you in the way that either internally you show up or external factors that might be contributing to that as well?
Really good question. I don't know that I figured it out. I think what came about was I'm doing more podcast interviews where I'm being interviewed,
Mhm.
and my day is fuller in every aspect, and I don't have as much time to prepare. And so, like the last one, I showed up like 5, 10 minutes before. I said my prayers. I looked at who I was talking to, and I went, and it was fabulous. It's like, okay, I know enough where I can be come from a good place, be me, and show up, and it's going to be great. So it's like that kind of showed me I should be doing that in my day too. It would help everyone. I think how it shows up is how I respond, not like why, not from a more positive place. Like, how can I help? Like, how can I help this? I know the direction the train is leaving this way. How can I help you get on the train? Like, just move forward and less, why not this? Why haven't you done this? Why haven't I done, like, it's less hanging at the end and more focused forward, if that makes sense. Also, giving myself more rest. I've noticed instead of just feeling like, oh my goodness, I can't, I'm late, so I have to jump into the next thing. I'll stop, I'll take 5 minutes and I'll sit there or I'll zone out or I'll read or I'll make myself a cup of tea, take that little bit of rest and not make myself feel guilty and then just keep going. I would say those two things lately I've noticed.
Yeah, I think that reflective, that like self-reflection process, um, and being able to notice those things can make such a difference. I think a lot of times, and I have been guilty of this, is that, over the summer, I think we talked about last time, like I wasn't doing my morning pages, I wasn't doing some of these things, and I was just kind of in it. And then I started to notice that I just was showing up in ways that I didn't want to, or not realizing these underlying things that I was having that I wasn't consciously aware of. And one of the things that I've been doing really regularly, almost daily, I think maybe sometimes on the weekends I'm missing, but is doing my morning pages and my meditation, but with more intention and being able to just check in. And one of the things that I always struggle with is feeling my feelings, right? Like I can intellectualize them, I can logically think about them, I can understand where they're coming from, and then I expect that to just like
You
convert
know,
into them leaving.
you have been
Um,
recognized. Move on.
right. But I noticed, and it was a couple weeks ago, and I was getting worked up about something. And then, like, in my own space, and what I noticed was that my default was, well, I'm going to turn something on, or I'm going to listen to a book, or I'm going to do something like I just need to, like, just numb out for a minute. And I stopped and I was like, you know what? Actually, what I think I need to do is just go take some time and like process this right now. So I like went in my room, I journaled about what was going on. I let myself be able to just feel the emotions and let them go. And by doing that, I had taken all of this feelings of like, um, kind of the like, why me feelings, or, like, oh,
Mm.
it's like the projection that I'm putting on somebody, and notice that. And then showed up and was like, okay, um, what is this that it's triggering in me? That this is what I have the control over. It was kind of not like a full Byron Katie, but kind of a little bit along those lines of like, oh, I'm looking for these things, or I'm thinking that people are putting this on me, but actually, I'm doing this. Like I'm the one that's doing this, or like, are they feeling the same way? And so noticing that the things that I was desiring and the things that I wanted and felt like I wasn't receiving, or the way that I felt like I was being interpreted. And then noticing that actually I'm probably doing that same thing to the other people, and like moving in that space and just taking that little bit of time helped me to show up. And then that's been like continuous. Like I'm not having to journal out all the time, but like when I notice myself starting to get like just a little snippy or a little short, or like, oh, I can't believe that this is happening, or that the kids are saying that, like whatever it is. and taking it from like a against me kind of perspective and then just like, no, you know what? I don't know that that's the case. That's the story that I'm putting on it, and I can choose a different story and I can just let it go. And I want to be allowed to have my feelings. I need to let those other people have their feelings too. And it has given me so much more peace and like changed the atmosphere of our days sometimes where I know it could have gone really poorly if I would have stayed in that
Done.
resentfulness.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. One, I hope you realize how big that is. Because it is, you're managing your energy on a different level, allowing yourself to feel feelings. And I feel like for me, journaling in that aspect is kind of like a different form of prayer or meditation or something where you're connecting with what's bigger than you and getting perspective on. But at the same time, you're taking ownership for your happiness because you're saying, well, here, somehow I was part of creating this situation. I don't feel good, so something's not okay. What can I do? Or how did I bring this on? And I love that because it gives you opportunity to do something, to make it better, and to feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like just doing these, and I was going to ask you too, but like going through and having these check-ins, whether I'm doing them weekly, which I don't always get to them weekly, I do try. But doing these monthly, or even like we're getting into a new quarter now. So getting myself set up and just kind of looking at and actually sitting down and being like, okay, like this is what's really going pretty good. These are things that are challenging or that I need to work on or I want to bring up. And these are the things that like keep coming up. These are my lessons. These are my life lessons that I'm going to continually have to be reminded on. And noticing those patterns and noticing and and making those tiny adjustments, knowing that like on a weekly basis, some of those things that are coming up consistently and they're just coming up for a while and not beating myself up about that, but noticing it so that I can start to make the changes. And then noticing, hey, these are areas where I am really making a lot of progress. Like these are things and these are the habits and these are the things that are working that are helping to contribute to me making strides in these areas. And I wanted to check in with you too, because I know that like even us just doing these conversations, but what is reflection and like checking in with yourself? What does that look like for you? How often are you doing it? How do you find those opportunities to get those to like be open to those aha moments?
Awesome question. I would say for what comes up, since you mentioned these wonderful chats, is surrounding yourself with people that hold that kind of space. So you can have opportunity, like I have an accountability partner and we Vox our back and forth, so leave voice messages. So if I have time, I can just use that safe space to talk it out basically with myself. Doesn't necessarily need comment back, but I appreciate that. On a daily basis, I would say it's journaling. I make time every evening. When we start our evening routine, I just take 5 minutes for myself. And for me, I used to love writing letters and I miss letter writing. So I write Spirit a letter and I say, here's what's up and thank you for this. And I need help with this or whatever comes up. I've also been trying to work on my relationship with money. So I write a letter to Miss Money Millions, I'm calling her, just to like notice where money comes up in my day and my response to it. So it's an awareness piece, but that too is like a reflection check-in time that I'm doing right now. I meditate every morning. Sometimes it's only 5 minutes. Sometimes it's guided. Sometimes it's not. And that is, for me, it almost is like watching a movie of my own life. Like ideas come up and I can see them in my mind's eye. So that would be another daily piece. Otherwise, it's monthly. Monthly, I kind of sit down with myself and I go, hey, okay, here's what you said you wanted to do this month. Let's look and see what you actually did. I keep that list of things I want to do this month on me, like in my calendar. I carry it with me all the time so that if I need to check in, if I have time to do something, I can flip to it and pick like a menu. Like what am I in the mood for? What can I have time to do? So that's a monthly check-in like these. And I feel like this balances that logistical mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I like the fact too, because like I said, I do a lot of journaling, I do a lot of reflection, but I do like the points that you're bringing up too. And that's why I always love to like check in and see what
In
other
the
people are
annual,
doing.
I should add that. I'm not good at quarterly, but annual. My birthday's at the end of the year, which is kind of New Year's anyway. So there's a big annual for me.
Big annual. But I like how you're doing like intentional, like I am writing spirit. I'm saying all these things and like bringing in for me that just like opens up too for like this is what I have control over, this is what I don't have control over, and then like letting go piece and having such a practice in like asking for help and asking
Yeah.
for support, which I think also came up in our last conversation.
Yes.
Um, and being able to process the things that you have going on and process expectations or whatever, and then like allowing for more to come in and like, okay, this is where my step ends. This is this is what I have control over. This is what I can
Yeah.
do.
And
And then
that's,
like,
sorry.
okay, and then I need the rest taken over.
But
Like,
not just, I just want to add, it's not just abundance. It feels like it's opening the door for, it's faith.
yeah.
Like that has been huge with this, all these changes kind of happening and everything getting fuller and things being very uncertain in different areas. I've been really surprised by my faith in that everything will be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think doesn't it isn't that a nice way to like bring it back and ground you in that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that used to not be my default.
Right.
And
Right.
now when it's my response, and not for me, the big switch this year feels like going from knowledge to wisdom. So for me, wisdom is applied knowledge when you know all the things, but you're actually practicing and doing them. And I've learned so much over the past few years, but it's now that it's seeping into the what I do and how I show up. And so that feels similarly recent switch for faith, where I understood how energy works, how law of attraction works. I've gotten to know like upped my relationship with God, source, spirit, like all these things where I get how it works. I feel good. I'm not worried. But I don't think I acted that way in my gut. And now things are coming up where normally there's good reason to be terrified. It's very uncertain, or it's affects a lot of things, or it's who knows what. And I just keep thinking, you know what? I got my back. Spirit's got my back. I don't know the answer, but I'm really sure it's going to be okay, or I'll figure it out. And that's new for me, and it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah. I had seen something not too long ago, and it was something about like when I hit those moments of self-doubt, of thinking like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and then just being like, um, but I can trust me because for all this time I have had a track record that I figure it out. Like I got to the place that I am because I figure it out. So I have trust in myself and my ability to figure out whatever this next thing is.
Right.
And just like having that self-trust of like, yeah, you know what? I've lived 42 years. I've figured everything out until that and until now. We're doing okay. Like we're making it work. And so I trust that whatever comes along, I have this huge track record that I can lean on, that I will figure it out.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget that and like that child mentality of like having somebody else take care of you or looking for somebody else for that validation that it's going to be okay, you know? But realizing, yeah, you're the grown up now and you've done it forever and there's no, it's the same thing about me showing up on a daily basis of like, yep, I've done the day thing before.
Yep.
Like Monday through Friday, got it.
We're
Let's just
good.
go ahead and have some fun and figure it out.
Um, okay, so looking ahead to October, we're coming up towards the end of the year. How are things looking for you? What do you think that you're going to be focusing on? What are your intentions that you kind of have been mulling over or are processing?
Good question. I don't I don't think I have a big switch. I think what we said last month really impacted me in this idea of being the lighthouse
Mhm.
and carrying that through. There's a lot of things I'm doing I just want to keep going and like keep up with. There's a lot of external changes in my world happening for good and who knows what good reason. So I think that idea of being the lighthouse in all different aspects, like how do I say that? Expanding that feeling. So this month I worked really on it kept coming up for me being the lighthouse for me. And I like to be the lighthouse in my world.
Well, and as you're saying that too, even just what you were talking about before with like the mornings and like, okay, well, this isn't the first time I've done it. That I feel like is just another example of you being the lighthouse for your kids, for your family.
Right. I want to be that.
Yeah, you're steady. Like I can show up, I can be steady, I can be here. I know what's going on, and then they can just kind of move around you as they're doing it, but they have that steady point where it could be that you know, showing up in this like, oh, how are we going to do this, whatever, like that's
Right. And
promoting
being
more.
for me that also shows up in being flexible in my schedule. Like I used to hang my hat on the structure of the time schedule that I kept. That worked for me. And I don't think that's the best way to live life anymore or the best for everyone. Like last week, my daughter asked me she's like, I don't want toast for breakfast this morning. I want muffins. And I was like, great. We got 40 minutes before we got to go. Can I pull that off? I might be able to do that. And I just went and made muffins. But if you don't have that open mind, like the old me would have never done that.
Yeah.
Little example, but same thing where like
Right.
lighthouse doesn't just mean showing up, but lighthouse also means shining the light and keeping that door of opportunity and possibility open and making it good day.
Yeah. Well, so- well, I think that moving forward and like looking towards, and I do like to like kind of do shifts with the seasons and get myself into, you know, having that connection point with what's going around and having the ability to harvest in what I've been planting and bringing in, and then also looking for opportunities for me to deliberately like let go of some things or allow for that opportunity for more energy to come in. So a lot of the stuff that I've been doing has been, you know, physical, it's been emotional, it's been like all of these things as I'm recalibrating. Like I feel like I'm recalibrating all of it, like business stuff. And one of the things that I am working on, and that'll probably, it should be out by the time that this comes out, but I'm doing a 90-day challenge thing, and it's not a, oh, like get everything done by the end of the year and do all the stuff. Like it is a finish the year strong, but it's a finish the year intentionally and
Mm-hmm.
creating a space where you are being able to feel the confidence and the inner strength of where you want to be, where you can give yourself that track record of having that, where you can trust yourself and looking at it and doing. So it's going to be like looking at what things you want to get done, but it'll be a small group. And what I'm looking at is bringing in, and this is what I'm doing for me personally. So I wanted to kind of open it up for other people too, but is looking at the last bit of the year and just saying, like, what are the things that I actually do want to kind of complete, or what are the routines and the rhythms that I want to incorporate, and bringing that in and having that ability and that accountability to be able to just have. So one person might be working on their finances and somebody else might be working on their health and wellness, but like figuring out, instead of saying like these are the things that you should be doing and being prescribed that, to have the opportunity to really dig in and get into what is actually important for the individual people and working through that process, and then being able to have that accountability so they can actually make momentum and be able to bring that forward. And I have been doing, I kind of did one on my own this last quarter of just like moving some of these things forward that I've been wanting to do. And I think that it gives a good opportunity to like have that ability to um, have that check-in and be able to talk to other people and be able to say like, okay, now it's, you know, 3 or 4 weeks in and I'm ready to give up the towel because I'm over this. And being able to have those points where it's checking back in and saying, okay, is this still important? Okay, do I need more motivation? Do I need some, you know, help and support and somebody to kind of cheer me on? Or do I need to adjust and reflect and like, okay, maybe this isn't what it is, and I need to adjust that and change it up a little bit so that I can feel more in alignment with my goals. And excited to be able to have it because I do think like you were talking about like that accountability piece and being able to have conversations with other people that are also doing it. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be that you're all working on the same thing or
No.
that you're all anything, but having that community aspect is something that I think that I've been missing. And again, something that has come up. And so as I've been doing some of this other like recalibration, and I wasn't planning on doing anything for the end of the year, like launching something new or doing anything new, but this just kind of came up organically and it was just felt really good to be able to have that ability to have more of that opportunities for working in community rather than just, doing it alone or, just,
But also, you're the best at leading these kind of challenges. It was years ago. You did one in the village for gratitude, like a month. I still think about that, and I've signed up for so many different things because when you're trying to improve yourself, you're just like, I'll try anything. Let's see what works. And that was so thoughtful and transformative and well led that I can only imagine this is the perfect
well, thank you. I
program.
appreciate that. Yeah, I'm so excited. I just kind of want to test it out. So I'm kind of going to do a little beta round and then see. I probably won't do it every quarter, but to do maybe another one in the mid-year or something too. But I love the opportunity to have conversations and like the village
Yeah.
conversations. I've been missing those. And I wanted to be able to take that and just move it a little bit further and be able to connect with other people. So,
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think the timeline is really good too. Like a quarter, I don't know
yeah.
why. It seems like it really suits and I'm excited for you. That's going to be exciting.
All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk
I
about,
don't think
bring
so. We've
up?
talked a little over and I could talk to you forever. So thank you for being the polite one of saying, what's next? We should finish.
All right. I have a card for stay.
Oh, yes. I
Um,
can't quite see. Inner
Inner
peace?
peace. Yep.
Oh,
And it's the lily pond. So simply sitting next to a lily pond, watching the dragonflies soar overhead and looking at the luminous lily pads floating gently on the water, while their translucent flowers open their petals to the heavens, can fill one with a sense of profound and everlasting peace. Lilies grow in many countries and have been given a wide range of meanings. However, one enduring image of the lily is the notion that out of the darkness and mud arises a thing of immense beauty and grace. No matter how much darkness there has been in your life, you can rise into enlightenment and profound tranquility. Inner peace is your birthright. Tranquility occurs when you realize that your life is unfolding according to divine planning. Serenity isn't something you have to work for or search for. It already exists within you. To find this inner peace, simplify your life, spend time in nature, and listen to the message of your soul. True peace transcends fear and connects you intimately to the Creator. Breathe deeply and fully, knowing that all is well.
well, that hit deep. It's just spooky how wonderfully on topic these are. And I'm like, well, I'm not somebody to swear, but that feels like a time to swear because goodness, that was perfect.
Yeah,
Well, that'll
yeah,
get
I
you.
love that.
That's fantastic. And what a beautiful send off to October
Yeah,
and way to enjoy the fall. And I feel like that also connects with like those cozy moments where you do get a moment of peace to just breathe and soak it all in before the end of the year comes and goes.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kay Margaret. I, as always, enjoyed our conversation immensely, and I appreciate you.
I super appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on Intuitive Wisdom. If this episode brought you clarity or inspiration, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review. It truly helps others find this space. And if someone you love, you could use a shift in energy, share this episode with them. You never know what might resonate. For more, explore my frequency reset service, tune into more episodes, or begin the journey through my book, all at deliciousease.com. That's DELICIOUSEASE.com. All right, until next time, trust your energy, honor your space, and keep coming home to yourself.